This is Governor Bobber. Good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Hey, this is Governor Chris Christie from New Jersey. Good day, doctors.
Go! You're watching Dr. Politics.
It is Friday, the last day of January, January 31st. We made it through the first month of 2025, and it's been pretty good. Been very good. I tell you, I want to start with some really good news, Don. You know how everybody talked about how the prices haven't calmed down yet? Oh, yes, they have. Look at this. $3.99 now. These were like an all-time high was $6.99 for these. And if you don't like McCain's, take a look at this. Whoops, wrong one. Those are still high. But look at this. Good. 99 cents. 99 cents.
I live off those things basically.
They used to be $2.49 a piece.
Man.
I know, Dave, you really should try the McCain's. These are good.
The Elios, I've had those too. Yeah, I've had those too. But I do love that pizza, the Celeste. I mean, it's just hard to beat.
The sauce has an interesting taste to it. I do like the taste of that sauce.
Yeah, it is good. It is a good sauce.
It's got some spiciness to it. But Don, where do you come down? Celeste or McCain's, Elios?
I mean, I ate a lot of Celeste and a lot of McCain's in the old days. But I did like I think I probably give the Elios a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
Than that, but
I think I like the thicker. It's got a thicker crust.
I wouldn't probably eat them. I'm not big on frozen pizza. Now we've been spoiled by the Papa John's, Domino's,
stained glass pub,
Litos, Masoni's, all these other places, right?
Yeah, but I tell you, I still do like to keep frozen pizza in the freezer for the time I don't feel like cooking or something like that. I can pull it out and customize it, it's a process. I make the frozen pizza actually what I do is I do a lot more customization. I drizzle olive oil on there, put my own cheese on there, put my own toppings on there. It turns out really good.
Plus in Costco and Sam's pizza is not bad, and you can do take and bakes.
Yeah, I do like Costco's. Yeah, that is one of my favorite carry out places for pizza. And I found a new place that's really good. It's called Kebabs on Connecticut Avenue. It's by the old McIntyre hardware store used to be. Don, I don't know if you remember that.
On Connecticut Avenue, McIntyre hardware.
It's basically right after if you're going on University, after you pass Koch's penthouse, and it's that first strip mall that you see. There's like a gas station there and stuff like that. There's also the Kensington Pharmacy moved there from where it used to be on Knowles Avenue.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Hardware City over there.
Yeah. And Hardware City, I think, became McIntyre. I think they became McIntyre's. I think the owner of that. You're thinking of the other Hardware City which is now a Stroh-Snyder's.
The Hardware City that was on Knowles.
Yeah,
in Connecticut. That's the one I knew the best.
Oh, there used to be one in the Kent Mill Shopping Center also.
That was that other one. What you're saying was Stroh-Snyder's?
Stroh-Snyder's, yeah.
Yeah.
But they had in Four Corners, they had one basically the owner decided, I guess, not to pay the franchise fees. He turned them all into McIntyre's. There were like 3 McIntyre hardware stores. One was Kensington. One was over by in Four Corners, where the old Four Corners Cat's Deli used to be before they moved all the way to Bolingbrook Parkway. in Rockville.
Yeah.
But now I think it's like an urgent care place now. But that was a small, fun, very expensive hardware store. I'll say it wasn't a cheap part; it was expensive, and it was basically, I mean, it was a good alternative with Heckinger's because you go to Heckinger's because the last day that Heckinger is done. I don't know if you remember this, but when Heckinger's on the last days, it was kind of like going to Home Depot today. Nobody to help you. Nobody knew what the hell they were doing, anything like that. It was just, fend for yourself. And that's why I kind of do like going to Stroh-Snyder's. You do pay a whole lot more there, but you go to Stroh-Snyder's, you can actually find somebody that will help you and show you where things are. Not, oh, it's on this aisle. Well, you want to show me where that aisle is,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like things are, prices are, Joe Biden slaughtered all those chickens. That's why egg prices are still not coming down yet. But
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I mean, that's the bird flu thing is going to be, you and I all, we know that's just something that we don't know how to control that. I think that's going to kind of ebb and flow. That's going to be a problem. If people are going to complain about administration and high egg prices, it's really kind of beyond the administration's control on the bird flu.
Yeah, I mean, although the previous administration did nothing to help lower the prices, with inflation, I mean, that spiked. I mean, if you do take away the cost of food and gas, inflation's actually gone down a little bit. But I mean, we live in the reality we live in. Some of the prices are still high. As I showed you, the important stuff in this world, prices are coming down.
Yeah,
we know what matters to Dwight.
Well, and the thing is, it's not that he didn't do anything to help them go down. He made them go up because of his policies, certainly in the case of energy and spending.
Yeah. And we had, let's see, a lot of fun stuff happening last week, this week. You've got, one, I think, let's just get this out of the way, was Dave and I were talking beforehand about the crash. Very reminiscent of Air Florida, if you remember, Don, back in 1980, a snowy day. That also same day we had a metro crash. Yeah,
you guys, we are three that most people may not remember, but we're of the same generation. We grew up in the DMV, so we would remember that day, that crash. And I was telling Dwight it's eerie because it reminds me, I think it was about this time of year, although I haven't checked. It wasn't Reagan just like Trump early on in his first term. Now Trump is second. But it just reminded me of that. And then there was a case, and Reagan pointed him out in the gallery at a State of the Union, a man who, I guess, driving down the parkway, saw the crash or saw people swimming, got out of his car, jumped in the icy Potomac River and saved somebody.
It was January 13th, 1982.
Okay. And for Reagan, I think the reason Reagan invited him and the reason it had a special pull in Reagan's heart is, remember, he was a lifeguard. And so for Ronald Reagan, that was always very important.
However, this crash was also the same day. I could be wrong, but I believe it was the same day of the Challenger tragedy, the 28th. Actually, no, that was not. It was happened on Wednesday or Thursday. When did this happen, Don? Was it Wednesday or Thursday?
The crash?
Yeah, it was the same week as that Challenger tragedy.
Wednesday, just after we finished, not too long after we finished the show on Wednesday.
That's right. Right after Direct Line. But yeah, it happened. And I want to say some of these reporters are the dumbest people I've ever heard. I forget where the reporters were. She goes, so do you have any plans to, and like he said, he's going to meet with the families privately. And then her follow-up was, well, are you going to go to the crash site? And he goes, where are you going to the river? But, and we're finding more and more stuff about this every day. It was a tragedy. I don't want to politicize the tragedy. That's what the left does, frankly.
Well, it's very disturbing. If you watch the video, you can see the crash. And that was very disturbing.
Yeah, I don't want to watch that video.
And everybody's got to take kind of just a deep breath and hold back, because they need to NTSB is going to have to take some time. They're going to have to study the cockpit voice recorder, and everything else, and see what they can find out from the black boxes, but everybody, there's this rush to judgment about all speculation about what happened.
Yeah.
We have got to wait to see what we get from what they take from the black boxes and try to sort this all out. It is a terrible tragedy. At nighttime, icy Potomac, it does have that eerie, Air Florida feeling. Air Florida was during the daytime. They hit the Potomac, they hit the 14th Street Bridge. They didn't, the helicopter and the plane, fireball, right? I mean, you kind of knew, unfortunately,
there weren't any survivors.
That there were not going to be any survivors, but does this have some reminiscence of 9/11 too? Some horrific. We see things crashing into each other, and people. We know people are dying. I mean, this is horrible.
This also raises a specter of Airport 75. Same thing happened at 747. I believe it was a smaller plane that hit the cockpit or something like that. Or a helicopter hit the 747 or something like that. I forget what it was, but same premise except it was a bigger plane and it was Hollywood, so you couldn't have the plane.
The other crash that the three of us probably remember, because it was, and this was nothing like this one because you didn't have much of a loss of life, if any, but you remember that guy who flew into Memorial Stadium? He had that small plane.
Yeah.
Crashed in the upper deck. I don't know if it was
that was like in the 70s, wasn't it? That was like late 70s.
Yeah, I think it was late 70s, and I remember that crash. That's one of those crashes in my childhood or my life that I remember.
Yeah, I also remember when that Swedish pilot flew into Red Square.
I remember that too. Yeah, that's right. Rust was his last name.
Yeah.
But the airlines have had a remarkably wonderful, safety record. Over the last several decades. I mean, we once again, because as you alluded to earlier to Dave, we grew up here in the DMV, but we're being a little older, we can go back probably in our memory banks a little bit and think about, we would hear about occasional airline crashes, right?
Yeah.
And loss of life. I mean, this was always made, airlines, flying was still safer than driving.
Yeah.
But those major airline crashes that used to occur every once in a while still were unsettling, this was a kind of what I will consider a kind of a freak occurrence, and we don't know who was really at fault here yet, but I still think that in general, airlines, airline safety is still top notch. They really do have done a remarkable record of keeping people flying. I mean, and they fly so many more people today than they did when we were growing up.
That's true. And all around the world you have.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it's just, that's why it's amazing that considering how many people fly, that we don't have more incidences, that there's more of the foreign carriers there's still some problems there, but American airline safety is really top notch.
And if you remember in the old days, it'd always be like a special report. Like, do you remember when Braniff Delta Airlines, I think it was Delta Airlines, taking off from Dallas Fort Worth, crashed because of wind shear? That was a big, and that was like later in the 80s, I want to say maybe 84, 85 in that time frame. But I mean, we don't really hear about these kind of plane crashes. We hear about doors flying off because of poor maintenance, wheels falling off, stuff like that, but nothing like this.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a plane with wind shear before? Where
No.
Okay.
At least I have not noticed it.
Yeah. So they don't really tell you. So one time, many, many years ago, there were four of us. I think we had gone out. I had taken Pete LaBarbera and a couple other guys, and we went out to a kind of a Rush Limbaugh type of event. When they're early in Rush's career.
Yeah, the bake sale. That's where I remember you.
Right, he had like Dan's bake sale, but there was something. I think it was in California somewhere. Anyway, we had flown out, and so we were flying back, and I used my my privileges and upgraded to first class. And I was actually sitting in the first class section, and Gene Kirkpatrick was sitting in the first class section. But me and one of my friends were I had upgraded him, and we're flying. We're flying, and as we're making this approach and everything like this, you can actually hear from the cockpit wind shear, wind shear, wind shear, and we're thinking like, my friend's like, he's like, I can see the head. He says, after we land, he says, my thoughts were, Gene Kirkpatrick, dies in plane crash, and I'm thinking like, yeah, I didn't know how bad it was, but it does occur. I mean, and there are, they have these mechanisms in place for the pilots to try to cope with all this stuff. But I have never heard that since. But
please tell me Brendan was on that plane with you guys.
You should do something where you should do something with that warning so the passengers can't hear it.
Yeah. I mean, please tell me Brendan was on that flight with you too, because he always was uneasy about flying, if you remember.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I flew to Maine, I noticed one of the propellers turned off, and what do you call? I'm like, this can't be normal. Oh, you've noticed we've shut off one of our engines, but it's perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with the engine.
Yeah, I mean, modern airplanes, the big ones, they can fly. They don't need all the engines, and if they detect something, they can shut it off. It obviously is not optimal, but it can be done. So, but none of us are aviation experts either in terms of all the.
No, we are not. We are not by far stretch of the imagination.
I think my father tried to become one with TWA 800.
I thought that was more Joe Golden's thing than your dad's.
Oh, no. My father was all over that. I mean, he had to be carried out of an NTSB hearing because he refused to leave.
I tell you, it would have been great if somebody working for the Clinton White House was on there too, and worked for Vince Foster or something. That would have been perfect. But one of those, those things, we don't like these tragedies, it's not, it basically, but you see the nation comes around together, we rally together as a nation when we have these kind of tragedies. Nice. That's nice to see, we're not, we're not a partisan. Nobody asked, are those Democrats or Republicans on the plane,
yeah. But as I put, the only thing that I had, my biggest problem was really Trump just not stopping, in his remarks on the tragedy, and then throwing the whole DEI thing in there. He didn't need to, there's a place for that, but it's not there. You need to be comforting America. You need to be comforting those families, and not throwing this speculation about this may have been something.
I mean, it's like, because Challenger also happened. Remember President Reagan's Challenger speech? That was, some people say that is one of his best speeches he's given.
It was absolutely wonderful.
Mr. President, great job. I like how he's punched back at those reporters, but take a listen to President Reagan's Challenger speech for future. And I don't think we'll have any tragedies like this anytime soon. And in our area, we really usually when we hear about plane crashes, they're never like around here. They're like at LaGuardia, or they're over at Logan, because planes used to skid off the runway all the time. Chicago. You never hear about, Air Florida was the last one around here. You never,
Yeah, I mean, most things that happen, the major airlines really don't have, their safety record is really good. The plane crashes that usually kill people in this country are those small planes.
Yep.
Actually,
we did have one of those a couple years ago, right before the pandemic. One crashed 1 to 50 landing at that airport.
Over in Bowie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It's like people who lived in Annapolis and worked, say, at USDA or NASA. Everyone's like, just leave now. You're never going to get, because the Route 50 was shut down.
Kind of like how Dave was talking about the guy who landed over at the ballpark in Baltimore. I mean, those are the kinds of planes that wind up landing on freeways and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
trying,
the
when they're
private
getting
planes, small private planes.
yeah, they can do that, but there's always a risk there. It's like you better make sure hope and pray there's not too much traffic on there before you be able to do anything.
Mm-hmm. And looks like things are changing pretty fast around the world. Canada and Mexico are going to have 25% tariffs starting tomorrow. Sounds like that. I have a feeling it'll be like Colombia. They'll cry uncle, And,
I hope
so.
Hopefully
Yeah,
don't
I hope so too. We use a lot of avocados to make California rolls, and they've already gone up in price, I think, thanks to the Super Bowl kind of demand.
Well, in Florida, my sister's place, she's got a couple of avocado trees. She gets like big ones like this big, not the little ones. They're like the big smooth skin green ones.
Well, in addition to the Celeste pizzas, which have gone down in price, I also like avocados, and they may go up in price. So
it's all those.
They counterbalance.
They've already, depending upon where you shop and everything like that. So we were at Costco yesterday, and so my wife looks at these things and she can kind of judge, what's good for what she needs. And Costco sells good size avocados compared to say an Aldi or Lidl or Walmart. And she's like, whoa, it's like $9 or $10 for a bag, which I think there's 8 or 10 of them in a bag or whatever. But that's a fairly big spike from the last time she bought any. She was talking with somebody the other day, and that's when the woman brought up the Super Bowl analogy type of thing. It's like, and I heard about it on the radio just today. It's just like avocados are. This is the time when there's some of the heaviest demand. Is because of the Super Bowl.
Although I like avocados, but I like it when it's already turned into guacamole, because it's always a hit or miss when you buy them. It's like, do you buy them smushy or do you buy them firm? It's like
I agree. Either buy them too ripe or not ripe enough.
Yeah. So for me, it's like it's either guacamole or when you take a slice and it winds up in a California roll that my wife makes.
Yeah, and all the Gen Ys and Alphas and Millennials are all putting that on toast, which I think is disgusting, frankly. On toast.
It's not bad. I've had it. It's pretty good.
You got to have it on the right kind of bread, I think. Costco's used to sell like this 7-grain bread, which was really good, had a nice little sweetness to it. Something like that would be good, but not regular Wonder Bread, frankly.
No, I agree.
Do they still make Wonder Bread, Don, or are they because Hostess went out of business? They're gone too.
No, I think they still make that Wonder Bread. I mean, thing is that when you go to Costco or Sam's, you're not buying Wonder Bread. You're buying whatever they stock in there. From Pepperidge Farm to Dave's Killer Bread and all that kind of stuff.
But here's the thing about Costco's. Before I go off on Costco's, let me say something nice about them. But their house brands, the Kirkland brands, they're the same as the national brands. That's the deal. If you want to sell, let's say if Coke wants to sell inside of Costco's, the generic Kirkland soda is Coke. Just like the coffee that looks like a Starbucks bag is really Starbucks coffee, but they put the Kirkland brand on it, which I think that's ingenious. Great way of leveraging with these companies. So Kirkland, you may as well buy at Costco's. You may as well buy the Kirkland brand because you're getting the name brand without the name on it. So I wonder if that's true.
Yeah, I mean that has become more common, with house brands than it was when we were younger. That really the manufacturing is done a lot of times by the bigger companies. There are some companies that are strictly in the business of private label groceries, and they do that. But you have to do a lot of work. Actually, there are people out there that are always trying to sleuth who makes what for Costco on this. It's good for Costco, obviously, because that they can, by doing that, they're going to make more money on their house brand than they will on the name brand stuff. But since but since they have a 15% margin cap on pretty much anything in the store, they just, it's just volume for them. I mean, volume of whatever they can put in there. It's just, they're just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Very true. And I mean, but come on, Costco. But then again, I'm going to shock you guys when I say this. I'm not happy they haven't scrapped their DEI policy, but Costco's just a private business. They can do whatever they want, frankly. If they want to have DEI policy, that's fine. You do your DEI hiring on that you want. It doesn't bother me, frankly. I'm disappointed in Costco. I'm still going to go to Costco's because they have really good stuff. Yeah.
Look, I mean, really, I mean, if you took a poll of the Costco members,
mm-hmm.
and you asked them that question about DEI, and most of them aren't going to care. Most people, the average Costco consumer probably doesn't really care about DEI. They're at Costco because they want a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
And to get that bargain, they're willing to buy oversized mm-hmm. packages of toilet paper and paper towels and whatnot mm-hmm. to do that. So DEI policies are not going to be a primary source of doing that. And you're right. I mean, look, these companies, I mean, they have stockholders to answer to,
mm-hmm.
but we know the conservative organizations that have made these proposals about rolling mm-hmm. back the DEI, but the biggest influence over DEI and ESG really has been Donald Trump.
Yeah,
he with Trump's reelection, and I think that's why a lot of these corporations could see the writing on the wall last year, that mm-hmm. a lot of them started to roll back all these ESG DEI policies. Some are standing their ground like Costco, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it hurts their business, Costco just think it's in too strong a position to do so. I mean, if you have three warehouse clubs, mm-hmm. in essence, really Costco, Sam's, and BJ's.
Mm-hmm.
Costco kills in this category.
Yeah, because they're the Cadillac of those. They're the Costco's.
You cannot match Costco to anything. No one can compete with them. Their selection, their service, everything that they do in the store is just superb. And my daughter, so she lives in Evansville, Indiana. I mean, she maintains, just like I maintain a Sam's and a Costco membership here, but while I use Costco more, she uses mm-hmm. her Sam's Club more, because with all her kids, Costco's got a pickup. She can order ahead and have the pickup, and they just put it in her van and she's off. That's the one interesting thing about Costco, is that, you want some kind of delivery or whatever, you got to use Instacart. Mm-hmm. Sam's Club will at least do a pick. They'll go ahead and do a thing where you can go ahead and order ahead and get those goods without ever having to enter the store. So the Sam's Club in Evansville, Indiana, does booming business. The Costco is doing okay, but where I thought they were going to kill Sam's, mm-hmm. they haven't been able to do it because Sam's got that little edge on there. So stores sometimes have those little.
And there's a couple of things Costco's can do to improve. They need to get rid of the scanning of your card going into the store. The lines are horrendous if you try to get there early.
Yeah, I mean,
and stop putting the bargain. Also, stop putting the bargains right by the door. Put the most expensive stuff there so people don't stop there. And 3, get rid of your samples. Please get rid of those samples.
My grandkids would have a conniption fit.
I don't like the samples. Slows the flow of traffic down. It's like you get gridlock. It's like you're driving on the Beltway. You hit that curve by Connecticut Avenue, and everyone just slams their brakes on. Or if you're over going towards by the IKEA store, everyone hits their brakes.
Hey, look. Post-pandemic, 1, they don't do as many sample stations as they used to. 2, I've retrained myself to say I'm not taking virtually every sample around there. I've become selective. I'll do a few, but human behavior is interesting with samples, right? It's like, because on the stuff that they cook there in the store, right? When they have to put in a little oven, people are waiting around. Okay, they're basically creating. I mean, this is where I can see where your problem is that they're waiting around for something to come out of a little mini oven, and for that person to cut it up, do what it, slice it, and then put it out. And then they're just like, I don't know, just crazy people. They just go and grab whatever they can. It takes 2 minutes for them to basically grab everything on that plate, that tray. And the person behind there's got, they have to go back and they've got to do another round, and that's going to take another 5-10 minutes.
My favorite is when they're doing cutting up those granola bars, those chewy granola bars. It's like, you could just buy the box and enjoy them in your car. You don't need to wait for a little slither of almond, peanut butter, whatever, nature granola bar,
Look, I mean, I was thinking the other day, so I think similar to you, though. I was in there when I was in the other day, they were doing, I think they were doing Pringles or something like that.
Yeah.
So you get 2 potato chips in that little white thing. I'm like, does that really matter?
Yeah. And can you really just eat 2 potato chips? You want more after that. You can't just have 2, And also, I don't do samples. And the reason I don't do samples is because I feel obliged to purchase what I've tasted. Because they ask you, hey, did you like it? Yes, I did. Oh, well, why don't you buy some? So, because you don't want to say it's horrible because, you don't want to destroy their brand.
Yeah, I mean, they don't work for Costco directly. So, it's an interesng dynamic.
But I picked up some really nice stuff. Like years ago, they had the sample of their cheese spinach raviolis, and I had a sample with olive oil. Post with a red sauce, and it tasted really good. She had olive oil and black pepper on it. I bought it. Those flat pretzels with cream cheese. They put that out, and I bought those because it tasted good. But but I feel obliged to buying. If I buy this, if I take a sample, I want to buy it.
I don't even know if I bought 10% of the stuff I've ever sampled, or even 5%.
No, I haven't bought that. I'll sample it and.
Really? Do you remember when supermarkets used to have their own samples? You go to Giant and Safeway used to have vendors come in and give you samples of Tab. Yeah. I remember when Clear Tab came out and Crystal Pepsi came out, they would give you just the 12-ounce cans of that, as a sample.
But those, that's an interesting thing too, because the larger grocery stores used to have occasional thing where they'd have somebody laying out and doing samples of things like that. That's pretty much disappeared.
I also, by the way, feel the same way about free ice cream at Ben & Jerry's. You get like a thimble full of ice cream and you're waiting in line for hours. Please, it's not that good.
Yeah,
and the time you waste waiting in line, you can go to Giant and pick up, if you want Ben & Jerry's, pick up a pint of Ben & Jerry's and have more.
Well, I wouldn't think you would want to patronize Ben & Jerry's.
No, but when I was working for ACU,
flip it the other way though, David. By getting something for free from them, we're costing them money.
True. That's true. That's a good point.
But you do have to kind of balance that against what is your time worth while you wait in line for something like that.
That's true too. Yeah.
It's funny. When I was working for ACU, right, I went to lunch and there's lines around the corner for the Ben & Jerry's on King Street. And I'm not I don't even like their ice cream. I don't even like the other. What's the other one that everyone likes? Haagen-Dazs. I'm not a fan of theirs.
No.
Give me Breyers.
Remember Seal Test and Breyers? I remember Breyers.
I like Breyers. Whoa. I did not.
Seal Test. Woo.
That was they were actually a cooperative. Weren't they a cooperative dairy Seal Test? Like they also had milk and stuff for their brand, right? They were like local.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had milk too. Yeah.
But Turkey Hill. Speaking of giving out ice cream for free, if you go to the country music concerts, me and the ex used to go there at the Jiffy Lube live. And at the end, you would get a little thing of ice cream. Turkey Hill would be passing them out. That was their tradition. So you get a freebie.
By the way, speaking of supermarkets, I've noticed panhandlers are now going inside the grocery store.
Oh, really?
Asking for money. Oh, we were at dinner when John and his wife were there. we went to dinner to the Green Turtle. Somebody came up to our table and asked for $1.
Oh, wow.
It was not our wait staff either.
Wow.
It's like nobody carries cash anymore, but that's a little brazen, I think, when you have panhandlers inside of the establishment.
I was at a supermarket. It was about a year ago, and this lady came up to me and asked, I guess, for me to buy her groceries and all. And at first, I kind of deferred, but I had remembered that at church we had a sermon, and part of it was, well, you're supposed to help out someone in need, and I thought of that in the back of my mind, and so I said, well, sure, I can help you a little bit. Now, I didn't plan on paying for the entire cart, but I figured. I told her, let me get a few things and I'll meet you up front. And I kind of assumed that she would put some of the stuff back and I would just buy some of it. No, she didn't. She had like one of the small carts almost full. Rang it all up.
You should have covered. You should have just done this. I only cover what EBT covers.
Yeah. So it wasn't too expensive. It wasn't as expensive as I thought. But anyway, I just felt, well, I guess I should help out. But
well, I mean.
You think they would keep them out of the store, though? I would think.
I had somebody at the Kensington Safeway as I'm leaving. She said she lost her job, and I mean, I don't carry cash, so I didn't. But I bought some cookies. I gave her my tin of cookie. I got these cookies. You can have these, Yeah. I mean, I don't have any cash, And at first she said no. Then she said I'll take them, which reminds me of. Back when I was working for you, Don, Matt and I went to see the fireworks downtown, and we got pizza from Bertucci's. Actually, Jeff was with us too. Actually, so we decided, we didn't finish the pizza. We decided, we decided we'll get to the first homeless person we see. This one is digging through the okay, right there on Connecticut. She's digging through the trash, and we go, "Would you like this pizza?" And she goes, no, I had pizza earlier today. And the next person, I think it wasn't until after the fireworks we were able to give that away finally. But the next person was like, oh, what kind of pizza is it? And we showed them, I don't like that kind. And then the next one was, I don't know, I really shouldn't be eating pizza. Are you kidding me? And Jeff made a comment about how, this is Jeff, the intern from the old AIM days, made the comment. Maybe his blood serum cholesterol is like really high and he doesn't want to spike eating pizza. But I mean, you got to gauge this because you got a lot of flim flam artists out there too. It's like, I mean, most of it, I try to help. Yeah. But sometimes, when I see people saying that are walking around with a smartphone and they got a cash app for you, because you say you don't have cash, you can cash app me the money.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, that. And why would you want to give your credit card to run your credit card through?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just like, so Jim Acosta's leaving CNN, Don.
Yeah.
Where do you think he goes? Do you think he goes to News Nation, or does he go the Don Lemon route of having his own Jim Acosta podcast?
Yeah, I think those are both possibilities, but it's pretty easy to set up your own thing now, right? Yeah. I mean, maybe now that Chuck Todd is leaving NBC, maybe the two of them get together or something.
Yeah. But I tell you, I don't see what he should have done. I mean, it's just his arrogance of Jim Acosta. He should just kept his job. So what? You work. Larry King did very well for overnight radio. Larry King worked from like 2 to 5 a.m. or some weird hours. Like George Norrie and Art Bell did overnight, and they've done very well for themselves. I mean, overnight for television, you can be on and it's prime time on the West Coast. People who actually watch CNN in California, they'll be able to watch you in a decent amount of time.
That's true. But I mean, we know that. Look, I mean, cable television, they're having a hard time. I mean, CNN doesn't have very many viewers to begin with, and the overnight, even fewer than the prime time, which is really where the bread and butter is.
Yep.
So, there's no doubt that Acosta, looked at, that was the handwriting on the wall. Once again, another part of the Trump effect, right? He was he was very, he was very anti-Trump, very antagonistic, during the Trump years. And Trump's back. And what does CNN do? One of their first moves is to basically reassign him, give him a new time slot, in the dead of the night. So it's been really, really interesting to me to see what has been going on here with the media in terms of their reaction to Trump being elected. I mean, it was only just before the inauguration, the CNN president told the staff, that they had to take a fair opinion, try to cover the inauguration fairly with an open mind. When does that happen at CNN? The staff went ballistic.
I mean, they weren't even in the Bernie Shaw days, they weren't that great.
Right. And remember, we had the LA Times and we had the Washington Post, both also, withdrawing their endorsements, deciding not to endorse Harris for president. They decided to go, we're not going to do it like that. So, we've been seeing this change in some of the media in terms of like, oh, well, we're going to get Trump. Trump is coming in, because those things were the endorsement during the campaign. And now you have this thing about the inauguration. There is just a very different attitude where they're trying to figure out how they're going to cover him. They want to curry some favor so that, because Trump, I mean, he's blunt. He'll beat him up. But I mean, what happened in December? ABC News, with George Stephanopoulos, they settle, right? They pay out $15 million to Trump, which is going to go to his presidential library fund. We just saw Facebook settle for $25 million, of which $22 million goes to his presidential library fund. These things would not have happened had Trump not won the election.
And you also have, what do you call the anchor gal at CBS? I think she might be the shortest tenure of a CBS Evening News anchor. She's gone.
Laura O'Donnell?
Yeah. She is not. She's only been there for I don't say less than 10 years. Laura O'Donnell.
I don't know.
That one I was a little bit puzzled at, because it wasn't clear to me why they replaced her necessarily. I mean, television, any kind of news network, it's a tough business now. People are using the internet. People have been using Facebook, Twitter, TikTok.
And we have all these journalists, frankly, that are whipping out their phones, covering the news, whether it be a car crash or a.
Right. And you mentioned the possibility of, Jim Acosta going the, Don Lemon route. Look at what Tucker Carlson's done. He's just spurned, using the networks and says, I've got the Tucker Carlson network, and people love him.
And you've got, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I tell you, the gals of the View, maybe their show's going to end up at 1 a.m. time slot. But
what network's that on? What network is
ABC?
Yeah.
But that means they would have to take out an hour from their overnight newscast, World News Now, which, by the way, World News Now, that's where Anderson Cooper got his start. As a major network. Aaron Brown, another CNN guy who's now no longer at CNN. And this
no longer with us. He passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that. He passed away.
I think Aaron Brown passed away recently. Yeah.
He was so young. But, and then you had Lisa something or another. She was awesome. And World News Now, Andy Rooney's son used to co-host World News Now for a while too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Brian Rooney.
Okay.
And it's I mean, I don't know why Jim Acosta, I mean, he'd still get the same paycheck. It's not like they were going to cut his pay to being on. Why do you care what you're doing as long as you're getting paid? You're on at 1 a.m. or at 10 a.m., frankly. What difference does it make?
I agree. You just reminded me, though, in terms of Rooney having a son also in journalism. Speaking of that, a TV personality, I heard this the other day, and you guys probably already knew this, and maybe this is, I'm late on this one. Susie Wiles, Trump's new chief of staff. You know who her father was?
Who's that?
Pat Summerall.
Really?
Pat
Oh, yeah.
I
right.
did.
Yeah,
I did
thought that
hear
was-
that.
I thought that was wild when I heard that. I was like, wow, really? But I had no idea. Then I looked at her, I Googled her, I looked it up, and I said, yeah, I can see a little bit of resemblance. But yeah, the great Pat Summerall, the legend,
Yeah.
the late
Yeah.
Pat
Legend.
Summerall.
What great football player, great broadcaster, right?
Yeah,
I
him
mean,
and John Madden used to.
That team of Madden Summerall. And
yeah.
they covered the Redskins games because the Redskins were good then, and so Summerall and Madden would get the big games, and so that's why so many of them they did so many Redskin games.
Yeah, and by the way, before I am very happy with the game results. I kind of knew that. I am so happy because we would have had to deal with the insufferable Redskins fans this week, flaunting the fact that we made it. It's like the Eagles are going, and I hope they beat the Chiefs this time.
I hope they beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have won 2 straight. We don't want to have a three-peat. They'd be the first three-peat in history, though.
Well, didn't the Steelers did not either.
Yeah, I don't think anyone ever three-peated, but
No, they're teams that have won 3 or more, but not 3 in a row.
yeah, not in 3 in a row. But I don't know who's favorite, but the Eagles look good. I mean, they scored 55 points.
Well,
Yeah,
the Redskins are just.
But the Redskin defense and things like that is far worse, than the Chiefs are, and the skin and they made a lot of mistakes. The Redskins won games, really by some games by the skin of their teeth. Last play of the game,
The Dallas game.
You got to give them a lot of credit for what they did, but they were relatively turnover free until that game. And they turned when you turn the ball over like that, they had 4 turnovers. It's a hard game to win.
Yeah,
So
it's hard.
I was shocked. I was surprised at how many points they gave up on the one hand. I'm not surprised that they lost because I just they were overmatched.
But even without the turnovers, they still would have lost. That's the sad part.
I think it would have been hard for them to win, but it would have been yet another nice story of having the first rookie quarterback ever to take a team to the Super Bowl like that.
Actually, would he be the first? Wasn't Roger Staubach a rookie quarterback when he took the Cowboys to the Super Bowl back in the ancient times, 60s, 70s?
I don't know.
No, I don't think he was a rookie then though, because he came out of the Naval Academy in the 60s.
Yeah.
We didn't have the Super Bowl until 7 or whatever it was.
Yeah, 67, 68, I think.
Yeah.
But go Eagles.
Fly. Yeah, we got to beat Taylor Swift's Chiefs.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, the Lions lost, though.
The Chiefs, I mean, they won 15 games, right, or in the regular season, and they weren't looking real good. But as when the playoffs come, they become like a different team again. They find a way to do this, and I give credit to Andy Reid as a coach as to how he's able to pull all that together. Even though this team is probably far less talented than his previous Super Bowl winners, so it'll be an interesting game.
Here's a question for you guys. I stopped watching after the Colin Kaepernick thing, right? I just can't get back into sitting and wasting 3 hours on a Sunday watching the games. I mean, I'm assuming.
I mean, I just basically check the scores on ESPN, and look at some highlights the day after, whatever, and kind of look at the recaps. But I have ever since he took a knee, that was the last time I watched anything really on NFL football. I mean,
that's the same for me. I stopped watching. I occasionally root for a few teams that I have a certain sympathy for. I don't root for the Commanders because I was a Redskins fan, and they decided to go woke on me, so I'm like, goodbye.
See, I was never a Redskins fan.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah. Well, look, I won't call them the Commanders. I didn't call them the Washington Football Club. I always say Redskins wherever I go.
Yeah.
Everyone still calls it. I mean, look, they're still using the Redskins graphic in various. I've seen it used a couple places already. It's like,
well, they've kind of brought it back subtly, right? Which started getting everybody. They got a lot of people excited that maybe there'll be a name change.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think next 3 years we might see a name change back to the Redskins, because Hail to the Commanders does not have the same ring as Hail to the Redskins.
I heard, I gotta tell you, I don't know if you guys had the same view, but I heard on the sports station they rewrote the lyrics to Hail the Redskins. It became Hail the Commanders, and I listened to the song, and something about that was kind of creepy or Orwellian for me, because to change the lyrics on a song that
they could have used
the
Cobra theme song and reworked it for the Commanders. Cobra Commander, and they could put a little cobras on the helmets. Like from GI Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't like the name Commanders.
We have that whole thing like fight for old DC. I mean, the Commanders just doesn't seem to fit.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. How about the Senators? Bring back the old Senators name.
Well, that's hey Susan, welcome back.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about when the baseball team was named the Nationals. I was hoping that we'd revive the Senators, but now that we've had that name for about 20 years, I was like, I'm fine.
Remember, Anthony Williams wanted to call them the Grays.
Yeah, but you know why they didn't call them the Senators? From what I've heard, is that DC objected because, of course, DC is not a state, so they don't have any senators. So maybe Anthony Williams objected to that. I don't know.
Here I thought it was the offensive nature of the name Senators.
Well, maybe it is to them, but I thought it would have been nice to bring back the Senators myself. However, they were once called the Nationals too, before the Senators.
Yeah. But give me the Orioles. Spring training is about to start. Pitchers report, I think, next week or week after next.
We got a couple weeks, I think, before P's and C's report.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 weeks. Like right after Valentine's is when that it happens, I believe.
Yeah, kind of hard to believe that we're already kind of running up against that. But
I know Groundhog's Day, Sunday.
we just had Lunar New Year on Wednesday.
Yeah, Lunar New Year. So I tell you, 2025 is zipping by. Pretty soon we'll have the president's address to both houses, the State of the Union for the year you get elected president.
Oh, is he going to do that?
Yeah, they always do that. So he'll probably do one in either, I don't know, President Trump believes in tradition. He'll probably do it in February, opposed to Joe Biden, who did it in March, maybe April.
Probably thought it would help him politically, I guess. That's why he waited so long.
Well, by the time he did it, when he did his first address or State of the Union, the gas prices were already over $4. Price of eggs was already shooting through the roof.
All right, I just checked. March 4th is State of the Union.
Well, there you go.
Well, you know what I must say, the difference in these last 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks since Trump's become president, is the difference having a president, an active president makes. I mean, you see Trump, he's doing things. With Biden, it was always the question of what's going on. Trump already has probably spent more time talking to the press than Biden did in months, in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Well, and you know who's in charge, right? I mean,
yeah,
he's all these things, this flurry of executive orders and everything like this going on there. He's out on social media, True Social, making comments, whether or not you like it or not. There's a lot of that things kind of like what he did when he was in office the first time. So that versus the fact that he's not turning the government over to a bunch of crazies. I mean, Biden basically, let the left run his government, right? His administration. Trump this time around, is definitely making sure he's got his people in, and are going in. We'll have to see. His three. I mean, I think that the cabinet nominees that went up for hearings. These are the ones that are going to face the toughest confirmation votes when you come down to it. So, but I don't think they all go down, but it's potentially. I think Patel can get by, but I'm just not sure Gabbard and RFK Jr. get by yet.
I think Cash gets by. I don't think Gabbard does, and Kennedy's pushing.
I think they both get through. I think Ken. By the way, do you think he's going to ban MSGs at Chinese restaurants if RFK becomes HGS secretary? You think he'll have FDA do that?
I'm worried he's going to go after our French fries.
He is. You know, he's going to go after our Coke Zeros.
You better not go after my McRib. I look forward to that every year.
Our red M&Ms are on the chopping
McRib.
block. You know.
Yeah.
The red cherry popsicles will all be because they all use red dye number 3.
Or maybe.
I mean,
Well,
part of RFK Jr.'s problem is that he's trying to get through this, this hearing, these confirmation hearings, but he has to kind of backtrack on a lot of stuff that he's endorsed or said before, and that gets to be kind of tough. I think his support among Republicans is just not that strong. It's probably not. I can't see it strong enough for him to get confirmed.
But it all depends on how much President Trump wants. But I think if President Trump starts making calls, I'm
not convinced. I'm not convinced that Trump is all in on him. I just don't know. I mean, Trump's kind of like, well, I hope they get confirmed kind of attitude with these guys. But it's not like he's going to go down to the mat. I mean, how much political capital do you want to expend on these individuals?
Yeah,
you can find other people to fill those slots.
Yeah.
So it's not like
it would be a great AGS secretary to be Congressman Harris, and we can hold that seat.
Yeah, I mean, nominating RFK Jr. basically kind of fulfills probably a deal he made on the campaign.
But he could have given him something else. That's the thing. I understand he wanted to help RFK because RFK helped him, but it just seems to me he could have given him something else. This is a really high position.
Right. I mean, I think there was discussion about more of an advisory role somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been fine.
Yeah.
Putting him up before us, for a Senate confirmation, that raised the bar a lot, made it a lot tougher. Yeah. Kennedy. And say he doesn't get confirmed. I mean, Trump could still probably find a place for him somewhere in the administration and keep him happy, where he has some input on health policy or whatever.
Annoy his sister and cousin.
Oh gosh, yeah,
that was brutal. Did you guys see Caroline Kennedy's little speech there on YouTube? I was kind of shocked to go after your cousin that way.
But the same thing happened during the campaign, didn't it? I mean, the family they were very much against him, and when he was making a lot of noise and showing that he was getting a little traction.
He was the only Kennedy not included in 2023. They did a Kennedy assassination video. History Channel did that, or was it PBS? I think it was History Channel. It was History Channel because they had KKT on there, and I thought it was funny how she is because I remember when she ran, she looked so young, and now she's OLD, but RFK was the only Kennedy not included. They had the Campbell Soup Kid, Pat Kennedy was in there, Patrick Kennedy. They had that other Campbell Soup Kid Kennedy, I
had forgot Kathleen Kennedy Townsend is a sister of RFK, right, Jr.
Yes, right? Yes, she is. But we're at final thoughts actually.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, final thoughts, everyone. Let's start with you, Dave. Final thoughts.
Well, I look forward to being in Maryland on the 6th with Dwight, and I guess that is the pizza and is
politics.
That the Stein?
Pizza and politics? Yeah, no, at Mama Lucia's.
Mama Lucia. So I'm looking forward there, and I'll talk a bit about my 2 books, and obviously we're there to celebrate Ronald Reagan's birthday, of course.
And we also have Maryland icon Audrey Scott, former mayor of Bowie, who's also speaking on president. She was in the Reagan administration.
That's good.
And it is. Final thoughts, Susan. Time flies when you're having fun.
So I'm looking forward to that, and then check my Substack column. I should have another column this weekend, so it's David Shepard at Substack, and just keeping busy. But I guess I would simply add, I don't think Tulsi makes it. I think RFK is close. I think Patel does make it. And the one thing I'll say that surprises me about Trump is he hasn't brought back any of the other folks really from his first administration. For example, remember he had Ben Carson at HHS, who I thought was good. He had Steve Mnuchin at Treasury, I thought was good. So he had a bunch of others. But I just think it's interesting that he's brought none of them back. So it just seems like
the biggest thing is what's his beef with Mike Pompeo, who was
that's right. Pompeo, I thought it was a good Secretary of State, but he doesn't.
He's very loyal to him too.
Yeah, so I'm kind of surprised about that one. In the case of Nikki Haley, I'm not surprised because she did challenge him, I guess. And I don't think she worked for him too long either. I think she left that position. But he is bringing back Peter Navarro. He found something for Peter Navarro, but. I was a little surprised about that with Trump, that he just wants all new people. I think Nixon was the same way. Nixon was the same type. When he came back, he's like, no, just getting new people.
But remember, with a lot of these people like Ben Carson, he's up there in years too.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
He's no spring chicken, as Aunt B would say.
That's correct. Yeah. But I thought Mnuchin, was good. I thought he did a good job there at the Treasury. So, but anyway, one of these days we should do a show on worst cabinet picks ever. we should do a rundown.
Cyrus Vance wins that from the Carter administration.
Pete Buttigieg, you had to put Pete Buttigieg.
He is running for Senate now, or he moved to Michigan. Carpetbagger.
Yeah, that's really weird. Peters is leaving, which gives us a good shot. But I don't understand how Buttigieg. Do you really think he would play in Michigan, especially since he wasn't from Michigan, or maybe he has some Michigan connection? But I just don't see him playing too well.
Sorry, being Michigan. A Detroit Lions fan does not give it's not your connection to
Hillary Clinton ran in New York, right?
That's true.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, that's true.
But this Pete is no Hillary.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But otherwise, doing good, and I hope to see everybody on Thursday. I'll have some books, and I look forward to talking to you. That's about it.
Don, final thoughts?
Yeah, just a few. I mean, the Trump administration is offering government employees a buyout and some severance. I love this idea.
Do you think you got that idea from us? Because we've been talking about this for a while. You think you got that idea from us?
Yeah, right.
Because we said that,
we can only hope. I like this idea. I mean, it's a very corporate kind of a thing to do. The unions are obviously saying, take a stand, hold your ground, don't take the offer and whatnot. But you can see with the Trump administration how much they are taking it seriously and trying to cut the size of government. Biden increased the federal workforce during his time in office. At the very least, I would hope that they can get it back at least to pre-Biden, but it'd be even better if they get it down to pre-COVID or even further back. So get in there, and do that. I've always said that, attrition, let people when people leave, don't replace them. In a lot of places, Bob Ehrlich did that when he was the governor of Maryland. Is let positions that really didn't have a purpose, just didn't fill them. Just basically eliminate those positions as people leave, and you combine that with a buyout. There've got to be a lot of people in government who've got plenty of time in. They probably have put in 25 years, and they're probably close to more or less maxing out what their benefits would be anyway. So take the money, do that. You could go ahead and get another job somewhere else. You could be a contractor. You could do whatever. Enjoy your life, and move on. But let's shrink the size of government. I'm all for that. So I'm hoping that some of these guys, because the other part of it is that if they don't take the buyout, the risk is that their jobs would be eliminated as soon as the administration can figure out what the legal requirements are to eliminate some jobs. There are hoops to jump through.
Yep.
And as we saw with with OMB issuing the memo on the grants, to various organizations, they kind of were very clumsy on that, and we've gone back to they withdrew that memo. They could have handled that better, but I think they'll fix it going forward. As you mentioned. So then also, I thought it was interesting how the CIA, now that we have the Trump administration in play, they have now chimed in and said that, low level of confidence it was a lab leak for the Wuhan, for the COVID virus. That's a change of position, so that they now are joining other intelligence agencies, more or less in line with thinking it was a lab leak. So, we don't think about COVID that often, I think, these days. I mean, there's still cases out there, but I think a lot of us knew that it was not what the Chinese had said it was. So I'm glad that we can get that taken care of. And then finally, gotta love Google going ahead and adjusting their maps to say Gulf of America. I mean, I thought it was hilarious when Trump proposed it, but to see Google do it, once again, you're making the liberals' heads spin, burn, whatever. Trump,
But
Trump 2.0 is living rent free in their heads.
Have you noticed the liberal media is now referring to them as oligarchs now?
I know. I mean, the thing is like, but that's because it's our oligarchs and not their oligarchs.
Yeah, exactly. Before they were business people, before they supported us, Yeah, and they're But anyways, go ahead.
All right, that's it. Back to you.
Okay, a couple things. One, thank you, Susan, for the breaking news. Yes, the plane crashed into a mall in Philadelphia. Go on Fox; they're covering it right now. If you want, but wait till we finish our show. One, I want to start off with some fun stuff happening around town. Here is a list of specials at Missoni's restaurant this weekend. Look at this: French fries. $12. They got some great stuff, and the pizza's awesome there. It's Squire's Pizza. It's great. But yeah, this is their menu. Go to Missoni's this weekend up in Perry Hall, Kingsville area, and Towson area. Take care, and yeah, go there. Missoni's a great place. Good Republicans and so on, but great food. The food is awesome there. But that also. I feel January just flew by. It's like you blinked and it became, I like it. We'll make it happen. We will make this happen. Also, for all the people that are thinking of running for office or working on a campaign, check out RepublicanToolbox.com. We've got everything you need to know, and more stuff is being added every single day by our team. And there's great stuff there already. We're in the process of getting more and more videos put up on there, talking about dealing with a hostile media, dealing with this, dealing with that. It is everything from A to Z for a candidate or somebody that wants to work on a campaign. We've got sample position papers on various topics and issues and so on. And we've got some very cool videos coming out from seasoned candidates who've won races in blue states. So check out RepublicanToolbox.com. Great place. Check it out. Also, price of pizza is down. The frozen pizza is down. Actually, there's also other stuff. So, I mean, I know I prioritize pizza, but there's other stuff like, if you go to Safeway, I've noticed prices on some things are coming down. Like romaine lettuce is down by 15 cents, from where it was. And this is in the winter months, where the romaine lettuce is 15 cents down, and you got tomatoes prices are falling a little bit that I've noticed. But I mean, things are getting better. Give it time. Yeah, that's actually not a bad price, Susan. That's not a bad price. That is yeah. Is that the same price? What's Wawa's? $2.99? But we've got that, and I think what else? This weekend we have the Pro Bowl. If anybody watches that, I will not be watching it. But
Jaden Daniels won't be playing in it. Remember, Jaden Daniels was selected, but he won't be playing in it.
Yeah, because for him getting hurt, he doesn't want to be the next RG3.
Right.
What? Wawa's is $3.39. It's crazy. That is crazy. But, and also a lot of fun events. There's a train show this weekend. I want to say it's in Annapolis. They got a train show there. If you're into trains, check it out. It's really cool. And let's see, and then the DC Auto Show I think starts this week, or is it over? Might be over for DC. You know, in the old days they used to promote it a lot, and it's going on right now until February 9th. You know, if you want to see some cool cars, gas-powered cars. And my last final thought is, Don, you know about the Cadillac IQ? It's the big Escalade, all EV, 483 range. Cadillac is having a hard time. They're just sitting there on the lots. You know, I mean, if you have to buy an EV, buy a Cadillac. But I mean, I think people aren't buying EV. People are just not going to be buying EVs anymore. I think it's people, they prefer gas-powered cars. I mean, can you imagine an EV going through this snow that we had a few weeks ago in the cold? Then the temperature is changing, everyone. So, anyways, everyone, good night. Groundhog's Day is this weekend, so a happy Groundhog's Day to everyone. Hopefully he will. Is it if he sees his shadow, winter's over, or if he doesn't see his shadow, winter's over?
2 more weeks if he sees the sun, or I forgot.
No, it's 6 more weeks.
6
It's
more,
never
sorry.
been.
I
It's
wish
never
it
been 2 weeks. But we're getting close to daylight savings time. That's the first Sunday in March. We'll be back to sunnier skies in the morning and sunnier, longer evenings. So I don't have to do my run in the middle of the day, and it'll be warmer to go do the run out there. But yes, Pizza and Politics, very special. We got Dave and Audrey Scott, former mayor of Bowie, Maryland, Reagan administration official. Yeah, come on out.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And that's all there is. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right. See you.